Hi, it's Becky here from Genie Frog Crochet, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make a V-neck Hexi jumper or Hexi sweater. I've made one in Wicked inspired colours on my TikTok live, and it was very popular, so I thought I would just show you all how I did it. This tutorial is for a small to medium size, so I'd say maybe about an 8 to a 12 because it is quite oversized, or it could actually be a bit more fitted. It's a little crop jumper. It's lovely. So you can do this with any color yarns that you choose. I'm going to do this one again with some different colors, but I will let you know what colors you need to use if you want to make the Wicked one. So in place of the black and green side, I'm going to be using, and I'm using a combination of yarns that are in my stash. So they're Yarnsmiths Create double knit and Stylecraft Special double knit. So for the green and black side, I've got cornflower blue in the Yarnsmiths and saffron in Stylecraft Special. And for the white and pinks side, I've got Yarnsmiths Create in lavender, Stylecraft Special in citron, and Stylecraft Special in parchment. I've been playing around with them beforehand, so that's why they're all oozing out all over the place. But as I say, you can use any yarn you like, any colours, have fun with it. This tutorial will be in US terms. I'm also going to be using a 5mm hook, and you'll need a pair of scissors and a darning needle for weaving in your ends. So I will show you quickly how to make a hexagon, and then I'll explain to you. I will be putting all the colours and the colours I used for the Wicked one down in the description box. So all that info will be down there for you. So let's make a start on our first hexagon. So I'm going to do the black and green. Oh, actually, no, let me show you the other side. So instead of the Fiesta, so if you want to make the Wicked one, start with the bright pink, the Fiesta. So I'll be starting with this lavender colour. Let me zoom in slightly. It's lovely and sunny this morning, so I hope that's not, these little shadows aren't going to cause an issue. Okay, so to make a hexagon, it's very similar to making a granny square. You just make 6 sides instead of 4. So you want to pop a slip knot on your hook. And I like to start mine with a chain 4 and slip stitch to the first chain. But if you like using a magic ring and you want to do that instead, that's entirely your choice. So I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to slip stitch into that first chain to make my little ring. You can see there's the middle space that I'm going to be popping my stitches into. So first of all, you're going to chain 3, and that counts as your first double crochet. And for this Hexi jumper, we're going to be working in granny clusters, which is a set of 3 double crochets. So this first chain 3 counts as your first double crochet. So then you're going to yarn over and go into this center of your ring, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. And that's how you do a double crochet. So I need 1 more of those. So yarn over, go in through your loop, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Then you're going to chain 2 for your corner, and basically we're going to make another 5 clusters separated by chain 2s. So go into your ring, double crochet, double crochet, and double crochet to make your cluster, then chain 2, and then straight back in to make another cluster. So we want 6 of these in total. Chain 2. So if you've made a granny square, you would get to that point that you will recognise, but all we're going to do is you can move your stitches over slightly to make room. We're going to chain 2 and put in another 2 clusters in here. So 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets. So if you can do a double crochet and a chain, you can absolutely make yourself a jumper. How fab is that? And then you're going to slip stitch to the top of that first chain 3. And for this side of my jumper, I'm going to be doing 1 row of the purple, 1 row of the citron, and then 2 rows of the parchment. So I'm going to fasten off that lavender colour. And turn my work, and at this point you can pull on your little tail and close up your middle loop a bit. So I've got 1 row of the lavender. Now I'm going to join my yellow, if I can find the end. Where have you gone? It always hides when you don't want it to. There it is, there it is, there it is. I got it. Okay. So if you have seen any of my previous videos, you'll know that I like to join using a stand-in stitch because I find it just looks much nicer, and to be honest, it's habit for me now to do it. So join your next colour onto your hook with a slip knot, and then in any corner space that you choose, so you've got the wrong side of your work facing you now, we're going to be turning every round in this sweater. So to make a stand-in double crochet, I hold on to the tail of my yarn and yarn over and hold this loop here, and then insert into the space, pull up a loop, and then you want to make sure your loops are around the right way on your hook, so you'll have 3. So then you're going to yarn over and pull through 2, and then hold your little tail and then yarn over and gently pull through those last 2, and that is a stand-in double crochet. I'll show you that once more, because it really was a game changer for me when I learnt stand-in stitches. So you want to yarn over, hold on to your little loop and insert into your space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2. So you have basically a double crochet, a proper double crochet that stands up on its own. So then you want to make another 2 double crochets to complete your cluster. Chain 2 because we're in a corner, so we're making a corner, and do another cluster. And you're going to do that then in every corner space around, make a new corner. So you're going to do a cluster, chain 2, and cluster in every single corner space, and I'll meet up with you when we get round to the other side. Okay, so I'm just doing my last cluster with this lovely yellow. Looks gorgeous in the sunshine, doesn't it? And then you're gonna join then to the top of your standing stitch, those 2 loops there, with a slip stitch. And again with this colour I'm going to be fastening off. I want to make sure all of my tails are on the same side, so that then will be the inside for my sweater. So then you're going to turn your work again, and I'm going to take my parchment colour, and for this colour I'm going to be doing 2 rows. So for this side of my, or for this hexagon, I'm going to be doing 2 rows of parchment, then 1 of lavender and 1 of citron. So you do your cluster in the corner, chain 2 because you're in a corner, so you make a corner. Oops. And now for this round and every round along, between your clusters here, you just make a cluster. And just remember that you only make a corner when you're in a corner. So we make another corner in this one. And then one between there. So do that all the way around, and I'll meet up with you to show you how we got on to the next round then. Okay. So when you get to the end of the round, you, same as you did last time, join to the top of your standing stitch with a slip stitch, and then you're going to turn your work, and you can then give a little tug on that end just to close up that standing stitch. Because we're carrying on with this colour, we're just then going to chain 3, which counts as your first double crochet, and then you're going to make 2 double crochets in this first space, and this will be the same when you're working on the other hexagon, because every colour on that one is for 2 rows. So again, you'll do your clusters between clusters and then make a corner when you're in a corner. And you're going to carry on and do that all the way around. So this hexagon is going to follow this pattern. So you're going to do 1 lavender, 1 citron, 2 parchment, all the way until you have got 19 rounds. And then for your other hexagon, you're going to start with the saffron, if you want to do the same colour placement as I'm doing. So you want to start with your saffron and do 2 rows of saffron, 2 rows of blue, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, until you've got 19 rounds. So you'll just have 1 of the last colour, 1 round of the last colour. And yeah, and if you want to do the wicked one, then you'll start with your green, black, green, black, green, black, green, black. And so you make your hexagons until they're up to 19 rounds, weave in your ends, and I will meet back up with you then to show you how we stitch up the top of the sleeves. I'm going to be doing this tutorial in a part 1 and a part 2, so that will be what we'll do for part 1, and then in part 2 I'll show you how we lengthen the sleeves and join it all together to make a lovely v-neck sweater. So do your hexagons and I will do mine, and I will meet up with you then. Okay, so now you should have your 2 hexagons. So I've got my 2 here, and they should be 19 rows if you're making the same size as me. But if you want to make a larger size, obviously you need to make more rows to make your hexagon larger. So what I'm going to show you now is how to join along one side to make our sleeves. So I'm going to be joining on the wrong side of my work. So let me just show you. If you have the right side of your work facing you, so whichever side you've weaved your ends in, so my ends are on this back side here. So this is the right side of my work. So have this facing you, and you want to get 2 corners, pick them up and fold them together. And then if you say that that is your armhole, so if you run your finger along to your next 2 corners, you should then be able to fold your hexagon over so that it makes the T-shape of your sleeve. And then what I'm going to do is along this top edge, so this now is the inside of my sleeve, so essentially my work is inside out at the moment, so we're going to be joining on the inside. And I'm going to take my blue colour, and then obviously for my other hexagon I'll be using the parchment colour. So whichever colour it is that you have for your last row, we're going to use that then to join the top of our sleeves together. So just let me zoom in a little bit. The dog is attacking his bed. Sorry if you can hear noise in the background. Okay, so you're going to put a slip knot on your hook, same way you have been doing. And still with your 5mm hook, we're going to join to both corners. So go through one corner and then the other corner with a slip knot. Like so. Oh, what's the matter? And then I'm going to be joining with a slip stitch join, but I'm going to be doing it in the back loops only. So I'm going to go through the back loop of that first double crochet of that cluster, and then in the corresponding side at the back in that first double crochet, I'm also going to go through just the back loop there, and you're going to yarn over and make a slip stitch. And we're going to do that in every single stitch along, so through the back loop only. Oops, make sure you don't skip any stitches on this back one. It's easier with clusters because you can make sure that your first, middle, last. So I'm on the middle double crochet of that cluster, through the back loop and join with a slip stitch. So in each stitch along, just through your back loops, you're going to make a slip stitch, a nice loose slip stitch. Don't pull it too tight, otherwise your work will pucker up. So keep a nice loose tension with your hands and just slip stitch through those back loops all the way to the end. So I will meet up with you when we get to the end. Okay, so I'm just at my last 2 stitches, back loops only. Oops. And then in your final corner space, you're going to do the same as you did at the beginning. You're going to go through that space on both sides with a slip stitch, and then you can fasten off like so. And if I zoom back out again, there we go. So now if you turn it in the right way, you will see that along the top of your sleeve you will have this lovely seam going along the top. So that's one side done. So go ahead, and I'm going to do it as well. Join the top of your other hexagon. So I'll just show you again how to fold it. Move those out the way. So you just get one edge with your right side facing you. Grab either corner, fold them over. So this is your sleeve hole. So then you just run your fingers along that side. There's peacocks out the front here, so I don't know if you can hear that as well. It's a noisy old place today. And there we go. That there is going to be the top of my sleeve. You can hear them as well, can you, boy? There we go. So that's where I'm going to join along that edge there to make my other top of my other sleeve. And I'll meet back up with you and show you then how to do some infill rows on the back, and that will be where I'll be leaving it for part 1, and then there'll be a separate video for part 2 of how to join the front and how to do our sleeves. So I'm going to join this up and I'll meet back up with you then to do the back rows. Okay, so when you finish that, you want to lay your hexagons out depending on which you know, which side you want which side. So I've decided to go for, same as I did with the Wicked one, I would have had the black and green this side and the pinks and whites. Equally, if you want to make this all in one colour or all in 2 colours, it's exactly the same steps. So lay it out how you want your cardigan to look and which you want to be the cardigan. No, it's going to be a jumper. We're going to be joining this. So basically which you want to be the back and which you want to be the front. So down here is going to be my back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move that one over to one side for a moment. And I know that I want this to be my back. So I'm going to spin it around. And now we're going to add some rows in to make our back a bit wider. So I'm going to get my blue because I've only done 1 row of the blue there. And I worked out for my sizing that I want to do, what's the matter, baby? I want to do 6 rows of the granny clusters to make my back wider. But it's entirely personal preference. It's up to you if you want to make it a bit bigger. If you've made your hexagons bigger and you want to make your back a bit bigger, you can do as many rows or as few rows as you like. Just play around with it. To see what your preference is, but I'm going to be doing quite a wide cropped jumper, oversized jumper. So to start your first infill row, because we want to keep it going in a nice straight line, we're going to join into this corner stitch here. Zoom back in again. I'm going to join in this stitch here with a standing double crochet. So to make the standing double, yarn over, insert into the space, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. And then I'm going to do 1 more double crochet in there. So you just start this row with 2 double crochets in that corner. And then as you've done before, you're just going to do a cluster into each space along. So go ahead and do that, and I'll meet up with you when we get to this last space here before I'll join. So I'll meet up with you there. There we go. So I'm just coming up to my last proper space for a granny cluster. So then when you get to the corner where you have your slip stitch join, in that space there, we're just going to do 2, same as we did at the beginning, 2 double crochets in there. And because I'm sticking with my pattern, that's why I started on this side, because it's like I've turned my work and I want to keep with the pattern of 2 colours per row. So I'm going to fasten off there with the blue, and then I'm going to turn my work over, so now the back is facing me, and into the top of this double crochet here I'm going to get my yellow. So to make this edge straight, we're going to alternate between 2 double crochets, and then we're going to do 1, and then we're going to do 2, and then we're going to do 1. But I'll show you what I mean. So slip knot on your hook, and into that first double crochet there, I'm going to make a standing double crochet in through both loops and make a standing double, and then into that very first space after your 2 doubles from the previous row, you're going to put a cluster straight into that space. Like so, and then you carry on with your pattern of a cluster of 3 in each space, and then I'll meet up with you when we get to the other end to show you what we do about turning when we're using the same colour. Okay? So you're going to put a cluster of 3 in that last space before your 2 double crochets from the last row, and then as we did at the beginning, we're just going to put one single double crochet, just one double crochet into that standing stitch that we started with. And you're not going to fasten off because, well, I'm not going to fasten off because I'm using the same colour. If you're doing different colours and you need to fasten off, go ahead. So I'm going to turn my work again, and then, as I said, to make this line straight, we've done 2 double crochets first, then we've done 1 double crochet. So now we're going to do 2 double crochets again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to chain 3 that counts as the first one, and then I'm going to put 1 double crochet into this space here. And that then counts as the first 2 doubles of this row, and then you carry on and go along and cluster in your spaces. And do that then all the way along to the end, and I will meet back up with you to show you how we do the 2 at the end. Okay, so you make a cluster in that last proper space like that, and then in between your last cluster and that double crochet on its own, make 1 in the space and then 1 on top of that double crochet. Pull that standing stitch a bit tighter, and then we can fasten that colour off. And then turn your work. So far I have done 3 rows of the 6 that I want to do. So the next thing I'll do is I'll join with my blue with just a double crochet on its own, and then put a cluster in each space, and then end the row with a double crochet on its own just into that chain 3. And then I'll turn my work and I'll do 2 double crochets. So each row alternates, starting with 2 doubles and ending in 2, starting with 1 and ending in 1. So I'm going to do another 3 rows. So I'm going to do 2 blue and 1 yellow of this hexagon. Oh shush, I'm going to go and see what's wrong with the dog. I think he can hear the wildlife outside. And with this side of my sweater, I'm going to be starting up in this sleeve corner so that because my wrong side is facing, and I'm going to do 6 rows again, but following my colour sequence. So I'll do 1 of the parchment, a purple, a yellow, 2 parchment, and I'll continue on that way. And then I will join up with you then and show you how we're going to join the 2 back panels together. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll join up with you in a bit. Okay, so I have completed both sides of the back of my sweater. I've weaved in my ends as well, just to make it easier to show you this next part. So all we're going to do to join these 2 together is twist it round so that you've got your wrong sides facing you. And then we're just going to join it together. Pick either of these colours, it's up to you. I'm going to go for the purple just because it's the closest one to me to grab. We're going to join it together in exactly the same way as we did for the top of the sleeves. So you're going to join in through your first stitch. If you go, zoom in a bit. So because you've got double crochets on either side, and we're going to be going through the back loop. So the only difference with how we did it with the corners is you went through the gap. So the first stitch, you're going to go through the back loop only of that first stitch, and on the other side go through the back loop only of that first stitch, and then yarn over and pull through both to join in with a slip stitch. And then, as you did with your sleeves, you're just going to go all the way along then, back loops only to corresponding stitches, and do a slip stitch join all down the inside of the back. Make sure you're not accidentally skipping any stitches on the back, the same as you did with your sleeves. So do that all the way along again, and I'll meet up with you at the end to show you how to fasten off. So I'm just coming up to the last few. Oops. Looking at what I was doing, not looking if it was in shot, sorry. There we go. And on your last stitches, make sure you go through those back loops. That one. And that one. Slip stitch. Then you can fasten off. Secure your end. And then if I just zoom back out a little bit, that is what the inside of your sweater join should look like. So if you turn it over, you can see the same as your joins on the top of your sleeves. There's a nice neat seam down the middle. So that is where I'm going to leave it for part one. So essentially you've got a cardigan at the moment with short cropped little sleeves. So there's absolutely nothing stopping you from keeping it as a cardigan if you want to. But I will be back with part two to show you how we mark up this front here to turn it into a V-neck. And we join up the front, and then we'll be adding some length to the sleeves. And I'll show you how to make a nice ribbed cuff on the sleeve if you want to do that as well. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you found this helpful. If you don't subscribe already, hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss part two. Yeah, thanks for joining me. There's various links if you want to join my Facebook community group. There's a lovely bunch of us over there offering sort of tips, tricks, advice, and just sharing pictures of what we love, which is crochet. There's also a link if you want to make a small donation, the price of a coffee. If you're enjoying my free videos here, then please pop over and do that. It would be most appreciated. So yeah, thanks very much, and I will see you for part two coming soon.